Hey folks, welcome in. Paralives is coming out this year, December of this year to be exact, and I wanted to do an overview of their gameplay and release date trailer, but before I can even start that, before we can even get into it, I've got a confession to make. A confession with the weight and gravity to change the trajectory of this channel forever. I'm biased toward Paralives.
What?
That's right. I've said it. I'm partial, not neutral. I've got skin in the game, which is kind of a weird turn of phrase. Regardless, I am biased, and I can't be trusted with information on these Paralives. Since 2023, I've been tossing 5 American greenbacks to their Patreon. I've said it, I've been compromised, and there is no turning back from this. Well, $5 may not seem like a lot to you, but it is to me, and I just really, believe in the project, and I was like, what's the minimum I can donate, that can at least make me feel like I'm contributing something, but, not breaking my bank? But anyways, here's my main point. I've primarily stayed away from covering Paralives because I'm directly investing money, no matter how small. I also wasn't entirely sure how to cover Paralives. For example, they release a lot of info on their Patreon that I wasn't sure I could, in good faith, talk about freely because some of that information is locked behind a paywall. And it's not like a normal subscription, right? When you take into account intent, the intent being you're trying to fund a game. So yeah, I've stayed away from covering Paralives, but not anymore because I really want to make a video on it and I want to talk about some of the cool stuff I've seen, and it's my channel. I want to do what I want to do. That said, I felt it was necessary to be, upfront and honest with you because I do value honesty in our relationship, and quite frankly, you're not being very honest with me. So you know what? We're breaking up.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo.
Anyways, so let's talk about their gameplay trailer first, which came out about a year ago, and then from there we'll jump on to their recent announcement trailer. Timestamps below if you want to skip around. Alright, so what we're looking at right now is their gameplay trailer. This video takes us through the course of a week, which kind of gives us an idea of what a typical playthrough may look like. Let's also talk about the aesthetics here. It's got this cozy comic book feel, kind of reminiscent of like cell shading style akin to like Telltale's Walking Dead or even Borderlands to some degree, but more harmonious. I like the use of warm colors as well. It's got this sort of autumn look. The character models also have a unique sketch look indicated by the lines in various places on the character model, whether that be on the eyes or around the face to indicate age, or arms and wrinkles around the clothing. I think the sketch lines are doing a lot with creating like this visual depth, yet still maintaining like this simple looking framework. In fact, I'd say that simplicity extends to the environment as well, yet it doesn't have a stark minimalist look because of the clutter. Clutter makes the world feel more lived in. You can almost see it in every clip here. There's clutter in different scenes, such as, the moving inboxes to flowers and flora. In the coffee, or is it the bakery, there's pillows, books, and plates, just a lot of clutter. There seems to be a lot of attention to detail and intentionality in their design. Generally speaking, I like how this stands out compared to Enzoy or The Sims. It's important to have distinguishing features in this growing genre. The Sims, being more duncy and goofy, and the Enzoid being sparse and lacking in depth.
We didn't say that, no, but it looks an awful lot like that, doesn't it?
Joking, of course. It's just banter. I make jokes. They're just jokes. I love them both in their own way. I'm just having a laugh. Okay, it's just, I make dumb jokes in my script, otherwise they sound way too serious, and I do it to make myself laugh. Anyways. So I remember when Paralives was first announced and they were solidifying their idea of their art direction, right? There was quite a bit of back and forth about it, and I'm glad they're actually choosing this style and simply refining it from here. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and the look and feel of Paralives may be like a make or break for some folks, but honestly, I'm just glad to see another competitor enter the market. I suppose what makes me more open to this style is that I'm simply taking a more positive approach to different art styles in general. It's a me thing, I guess. But look, I still have my own prejudices of what I like and I don't like, but I find that if I'm more open to different art styles and instead focus on getting caught up in a fun game loop, then I tend to be more open about how a game looks, if that makes any sense. For example, just to give you an idea of like the range of games that I play that have varying art styles, those games span from RimWorld, Football Manager, Baldur's Gate, Crusader Kings, Ark Survival Evolved, Jagged Alliance, what else? All sorts. These are all games I find myself addicted to, and they all have their own various styles, and on the onset, I've been typically turned off by certain aspects of these games, but then I just find myself drawn in by their gameplay, and then I just find myself loving these games. So all of this is to say, Paralives' art style doesn't bother me, and I'm more concerned with its potential and how it plays. Now, while we're on that, how does it play? Well, now, there's still much we don't know in terms of what an average user experience may be. I say this because I don't want to overhype anything or talk down to a project that still has a ways to go. Don't get me wrong, like, I am excited. I mean, hence the video, right? But I do have lingering questions. But anyways, let's talk about the gameplay that we're looking at and what we know. As mentioned, we get a week's worth of gameplay that takes us through this Para's life. A Paralive, if you what we see is a stroll through a street block. There seems to be an emphasis on an active world, but at this point, I'm just kind of curious about the depth of their simulation and just how active the world is around them. But let's get on to the creating a personality setup. I like that there's 3 points per category, and like that there's 4 categories: physique, mind, creativity, and charisma. I know it's charisma, I'm just having a laugh. I like that there's a strict number of points, 3 in this example that you start out with, and I like how vibe, social perk, and talent really help round out your character, and that for each of these sections, the wording and the description are clear and simple. I know I am using the term simple a lot here, but I do want to stress that a simple game design or UI can be meaningful and filled with depth while still giving a strong sense of game progression. For example, if we look at social perk and just kind of gloss over some of the phrasing, we've got good at being alone, good at making friends, good at taking care of others, while wordy, the language is on the nose and transparent. And I don't know, I think it helps the game flow and it fits their style well. In this clip, we're gonna see how we pay bills. So it looks like we get it as a notification rather than paying it through a phone or mailbox or in the world, which I think is an interesting take. It's less immersive in the way that Paralives looks like it's gonna go about it, but it does have the effect of keeping us active in the world rather than having you go out of your way to, pay the bills. In this next scene, it looks like we can interact with flyers to find work, which I think is a nice touch, but I do wonder if this is a guided demo that's curtailed for the trailer. I wonder if there's other means to find work. I'm sure there is, but either way, it looks like we'll have to use application points before we get the job. For barista, the requirement is 4 points. Typically in life sims, jobs are a good way to develop skills and earn money, and it seems like here, for an entry-level position, you will need prerequisite skills at the very least. As we progress through the workday, we gain money and points to spend. Using the points we've earned from the workday, we can go to the occupation tab and upgrade our job rank, or choose customer service, which gives us more money, but doesn't increase our rank. Or we can listen to music, which increases our music knowledge. So here we have skills, and they seem to be divided categorically as well. We have music as a skill and guitar as a sub-skill. Progressing these main skills will speed up learning for their sub-categories. In this example, increasing music will help speed up learning piano or guitar, etc. As we've moved on to Thursday, Anissa, our para, has gained another upgrade point to spend, so it does look like every time you're able to complete a workday, you get a point. In this example, the player chooses listen to music while working, and that pick goes into the extras category, which looks like it becomes a passive skill? I'm not entirely sure. Grouping. I also want to mention just how revolutionary this concept is, and before you go on saying, Jan, your grandma's RTS game has this feature. What's so special about this? Well, you know what? This is different, unique, and if it was so easy to do, every other life sim would incorporate this. But one of the biggest drawbacks for group interactions, whether that be, in The Sims, is just how unresponsive some group interactions can be. And by easily dragging your cursor, and then if done right, should make group interactions, much more convenient. And this together card is interesting too, in that now we have concepts and goals to pursue while in a group. And I'm going to overuse this word here, but it's simple interactions and responses is such a breath of fresh air. Too often times, whether that be in Enzoi or The Sims, there's sometimes just a suffocating amount of character-to-character interactions that feel like they do a whole lot of nothing or the same thing as another interaction. Having it be simplified here in Paralives means everything is much more direct and clues you into a more predictable outcome. Once that together bar is filled up, it looks like you can unlock more special interactions that advance your relationships. Again, all of this seems to aim at giving us, the players, a sense of pace and progression. In this clip, it's showing us how to upgrade your personality, which I wish I could do in real life. But what's cool about this is that we can use it to increase our passive abilities. And I wonder if there's going to be like a meta to all this, or will each choice be significant enough for us to choose one attribute over another? It does mention that Anissa has a serious vibe, so I'm just curious if these upgrades are specific to different vibes. Now, this clip has got me irate, and perhaps what draws most of my criticism. In this scene, we're at the gym, and it says that the gym is a great place to meet new townies. What the hell? No, I ain't talking to nobody while I'm working on my own body. I mean, could you imagine going to the gym and just like chatting people up? I could never. When I go to the gym, which reminds me, I really do need to go back to the gym, but when I go to the gym, I could never look people in the eyes. I am just so body conscious. But here, nonchalantly checking out a dude and is like, let's work out together, then later go home and make a tape. And then she invites him over and tries to impress him. What the hell? And then he offers her a job as a music teacher because easy speasy lemon squeezy, as you do. I mean, seriously, who does that? Do people actually do that? Wait, is that actually a thing? Like you go and you work out at a gym and then you just like talk to people? Is that what you're supposed to do? I haven't been in like the gym forever. And when I am again, like I'm like terrible at it. On a serious note, I do like that we can see a percentage chance for big moments and interactions like a first kiss. It makes it feel more like a game and less like an easy sandbox. It just feels more motivated. And there you have it. That's the gameplay trailer with a, sneaky Paralives. Will never have paid DLCs, only free expansions. And before you go on saying, how will they be able to afford updates and maintain the game if they don't, nickel and dime us for every cent we have? Just know it's possible. All right, this has been the video game industry standard way before this microtransaction hellscape we live in now. It's doable and it's all about development scope, whether you want to make good money versus every single cent. While it remains to be seen whether they keep this pledge, do know that this isn't an impossible task. But with that, let's move on to the release date trailer. Their newest trailer they released 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I mean, it depends on when this video drops, but it's their most recent trailer. This is just a minor detail to point out, but I just think it's really interesting how they're using actual English names on the buildings, but it does seem like they're speaking their own language, like their variation of Simlish. So we've also got unique furniture customization going on. Instead of preset assets, it looks like we'll be able to extend or shorten certain items like furniture, windows, and perhaps even a wider range of stuff. Here's an important bit as well. This couch is revolutionary. I know I'm using revolutionary a lot here, and it is a hyperbole, it absolutely is, but I'm just excited. I'm excited about this couch and what it means for the gaming industry. No? Okay. So this clip is dope. Why, you surreptitiously ask? No one is asking surreptitiously, but okay, look, we have 5 paras sitting on one couch, with the para in the polo sitting on the armrest, on a couch that looks similar to the one that was modified in previous scenes. Now, it's important to keep in mind that this could be curated for the scene and perhaps it's just for the sake of the trailer, but should this be part of the gameplay? That's actually pretty innovative, especially for life sims. That's something not even The Sims has yet to accomplish. And all of this adds to immersion and making use of the game space. Now, this might come off as something minor and just like a minor detail or whatever, especially for those who take the life sim genre for granted. But I find it particularly important to recognize these advances, like how Enzoi allowed us to hit children with cars, and how The Sims brought us over $1,000 worth of DLCs. It's always important to highlight each life sim game's contribution to the genre. Again, it's banter. I'm joking. Okay, group activities and group conversations. From what I understand, this is something that's one of the more challenging things to design for, but here in Paralives are able to do it. I mean, not even Enzoi has done this yet. That said, I do wonder if Paralives simplifies that group stuff via their group activities feature. We talked about this a little bit in the gameplay portion, how we have to first designate by grouping them manually and then they do the activity, whereas in The Sims 4 it just happens much more spontaneously. So we're seeing that happen here in this trailer. And also, let's give The Sims 4 their flowers, right? Like, that game mechanic, group activities are quite innovative. Now, is it buggy a decade later? Sure, but it's a difficult system to incorporate, and we'll have to wait and see how Paralives handles numerous group activities to be sure how, this works. But that's my guess of what's happening here and what we're seeing on the trailer. I just wanted to stop it here and just say clutter. Look at all the clutter. One of the things I'm hopeful for is that the clutter doesn't get in the way of too many interactions you can do with your paras. But the clutter is, it just makes everything so visually interesting. So this part, I just love to death. We can now cry in the bathroom. I love that. I love crying in the bathroom. This is pretty much me whenever I read your comments and I want to give up on the YouTubes forever. I'm kidding, of course. I don't cry in the bathroom. I cry in the shower. But anyways, I do want to say, if this isn't just curated for the trailer and we can actually soothe, that'll be pretty cool. And it would add a dynamic touch. And we also get a lot of shots of their small town, so perhaps that's the limit right now when the game initially launches. But there you have it. We've got our early access release date of December 8th, 2025. And I do want to stress that if there's any info locked behind a paywall on their Patreon, I am intentionally, not mentioning it in this video for reasons I stated in the intro. If you'd like to see more stuff directly from their dev team, I'll go ahead and link their Patreon in the description. But for the most part, I just really want to talk about, Paralives because I'm super bought in. I like what I'm seeing. Do keep in mind that my thoughts on all of this are rather biased because I am a patron. It's why I held off on talking about it for so long. But I just wanted to share my excitement with you because it's pretty significant to see another life sim game enter the genre. That said, they're not paying me squat. If that's what you're most concerned about, I'm still your lovable broke boy January. But speaking of broke boy, Raid Shadow Legends. I am kidding, this is not sponsored. God, I wish it would be though by them. I'm told they pay a lot of money. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate that, and I appreciate you, and I hope to see you in the next video, whatever the next video may be. So until then, I will see you then. Bye for now. Can you imagine Raid Shadow Legend money?